Okay, so we've got a wild one for you today, folks.
Yeah, this one's going to be a
A
doozy.
death penalty case in Vietnam involving a tycoon.
A tycoon and an insane amount of money.
Yeah, we're talking billions.
Billions with a B.
$12 billion just gone.
Vanished.
Woof.
It's about 6% of Vietnam's whole GDP in 2023.
The woman at the heart of this whole thing is Truong My Lan.
She's the founder of this massive real estate company called Van Thin Phat.
Yeah, Van Thin Phat, and she's got all these ties to Saigon Commercial Bank.
SCB.
SCB.
It's pretty crazy.
It's nuts.
What makes this case so interesting is that it's way more than just some simple embezzlement.
Right. It's like sparked this nationwide anti-corruption campaign.
Oh, yeah, the blazing furnace, they call it.
Blazing furnace. It's shaking up Vietnam's entire political and economic landscape.
Yeah, it's a big deal.
Huge.
So how did this woman
Yeah.
land? How did she pull this off? I mean, she didn't even have an executive position at SCB.
Right. She wasn't even like officially in charge.
Yeah.
But somehow she managed to orchestrate this massive fraud.
Well, that's where things get really interesting.
Okay. Lay it on me.
So Lan, she controlled 91.5%
91.5%.
of SCB's shares,
Wow.
but not directly.
Okay. So how did she do it?
Through this super complicated network
Okay.
of family, friends, and shell companies.
Hold on a sec.
Yeah.
Back up for a second.
Sure.
I'm not exactly a finance whiz.
Right.
What are shell companies?
Good question.
And how do they help someone like Lan pull this off?
Shell companies are basically businesses that only exist on paper.
Right.
They don't have any real operations or employees.
So they're fake.
They're like hollow shells used to hide the real owner and
Uh-huh.
move money around secretly.
I see. So they're like fronts
Exactly.
for shady business.
Yeah. This lack of transparency makes shell companies the perfect tool for illicit activities.
Like money laundering.
Exactly. Or in this case, siphoning funds from a bank.
Gotcha. So Lan built this whole web of these shell companies to make it seem like she wasn't the one calling the shots at SCB.
Right.
Even though she basically was
Pretty clever.
deceptive, but clever.
For sure.
So then over 11 years,
11 years.
from 2012 to 2022,
Wow.
she created this whole scheme based on fake loan applications.
Yeah, these fake loans were like 93% of the bank's total credit issued
93%.
during that whole period.
That's insane.
It is.
They were funneled through her shell company.
Draining SCB's resources for her own gain.
And nobody noticed for a decade.
I know, it's crazy, right?
It really makes you wonder about the oversight in Vietnam's banking system.
Yeah, it's a big question mark.
So what happened next? I mean, what was the fallout from all this?
Well, it was devastating. Tens of thousands of investors lost their savings.
Oh, man.
It caused widespread panic.
Yeah,
The Vietnamese central bank had to inject $24 billion
$24 billion.
in emergency loans just to try and stabilize SCB.
That's double the amount Lan embezzled.
I know, it's mind-boggling.
Wow.
The scale of this fraud and the impact on everyday Vietnamese people is just massive.
Yeah, I can't even imagine.
But what's even more significant is that this whole thing triggered the Blazing Furnace campaign.
Oh, right, the anti-corruption campaign.
Yep, led by former Communist Party General Secretary Nguyen Phu Trong.
So tell me more about this campaign. What was its goal, and what's it accomplished so far?
Well, it seems like this case was the final straw.
Yeah.
It exposed how deep the corruption ran in Vietnam's financial and political systems.
So they decided to clean house.
Pretty much the Blazing Furnace aimed to weed out corruption at every level.
Exactly. From the bottom to the top.
Exactly. And it's been really effective.
How so?
Thousands of people have been indicted,
Wow.
including former central bankers and government officials.
All because of this one case.
Yeah, they were tried right alongside Lan.
85 people indicted alongside Lan.
That's right.
That's crazy.
It really gives you a sense of how widespread this problem is.
Yeah, for sure. But here's what I don't get.
What's that?
Lan claims to feel remorse.
Yeah, she said she feels bad about the waste of national resources.
And she's embarrassed about the charges.
Right.
Do you buy it?
It's hard to say.
Really?
Some people might see it as a way to try and get a lighter sentence.
Oh, I see.
You know, if she returns 3/4 of the money,
75% of $12 billion.
her death sentence could be reduced to life in prison.
So maybe it's a strategic move.
Possibly.
Wow. So what can we as listeners take away from all this?
Well, I think this case is a huge warning sign
Right.
about the dangers of unchecked power
Right.
and the critical need for transparency and accountability.
Especially when it comes to financial institutions.
Absolutely. Governments need to have strong systems in place to prevent this kind of large-scale fraud.
Makes you wonder, could something like this happen in other countries?
Yeah,
Places that seem to have strong financial systems.
it's definitely a possibility.
It really makes you think about the global reach of financial crime.
And how corruption can touch every corner of the world.
For sure. This case might have happened in Vietnam,
Right.
but the lessons apply everywhere.
Absolutely.
Well, that's all the time we have for today.
Thanks for listening.
Be sure to check back for our next deep dive.
See you then.
Bye.
Bye.